it's Kaylee from the Mini Homestead. Today I am starting our seeds. So I will be using that mixture right back there. That is a soil block mixture that I made, and I can link that recipe for you down below. But we are going to get started on our seeds today. So I am looking to start all of my tomato plants. I'm hoping to start some peppers and onions. And then if I have some room, I am also wanting to start some of my medicinal flowers. So it may be a 50-50 shot that this little guy ends up helping me because he's got himself a yummy popsicle. So we'll see if he wants to get his hands dirty. But we are going to go ahead and get started with those seeds. So here's my little setup that I have to start my seeds. I am I've got my mix here that I started, and then I've got my seed blockers and our homemade trays. This is just a baking sheet. I'll explain what that's for later. There's some more trays, and then this is capillary matting, and again, I'll explain what I'm using that for later. Getting started here, I needed to add water to my soil block mixture. The consistency that I was aiming for was a really, really thick cake-like batter, if you can picture that. I figured that consistency was a good thickness because it would be able to fit into the mold where it would actually stick and form the blocks, because if you add too much water, then you're going to end up with this like soupy consistency, and that will not stick in the soil block maker. So I was just aiming for that cake-like mixture as I was adding the water in. Once I thought the mixture had enough water, I just made sure to do a final mix with my hands, and then also just kind of testing as I went how the soil would clump. My final and last test, which I'm so glad that I did, was I took my actual soil block tool and made practice blocks in the tub itself to see how the soil would hold up. And I actually found out that my mixture had way too much water in it. And I think that was just because I didn't actually let the soil sit for a few minutes without doing anything to it. So what was happening was I just kept adding water, and then I realized that I had way too much water and couldn't get the blocks to form. Luckily, I was able to fix this pretty easily because I had some extra soil over in this gray tub. So I was able to add it to the clear tub as I went. And I did notice again, just because I hadn't let the soil sit for some time with that water, that as I was going, I needed to add the dry soil. But once I got the hang of it, I was able to make some really nice soil blocks. After all of my trays were filled with soil blocks, it was time for planting. So I just went through with the pencil and just made sure that the holes were clear that the soil block maker made. And for the most part, it did a pretty good job. Just this one particular tray I had some trouble with. But for this one, I am doing tomatoes, so I wanted to make sure that I was only getting one seed per block. But there are some things that you can do multiple planting with. One of those is onions. I was actually able to plant up to 4 seeds per block. And that's because onions will naturally make room for each bulb, so you could plant multiples there. And then the other one that I did multiples for were my herbs, just because the seeds were so tiny. So once those start growing and maturing, I will be sure to thin them out. All right, let me explain what the capillary matting and the baking tray is for. So one of the big things with soil blocking is that you have to keep the blocks moist. And I have 2 little ones, so I remember last year when I was seed starting that it was really hard to keep everything watered and moist. So I saw the seasonal homesteader do this and I thought, holy cow, that's a really good idea. So I decided to do it. So what you do is you put this capillary mat in the bottom of your tray, and then you add water to the baking sheet. So then what happens is that when you have this excess capillary matting in that water, it soaks up that water and then it goes to the blocks. So I am only having to actually add water just to the trays alone about every other day. So that makes it way easier for me to keep this stuff moist, so that way the seeds get plenty of water, and it also helps me from preventing from overwatering, because if you overwater, then the block itself could erode and then you won't have a block at all. So that is how I am watering these, and so far, like I said, it's working really, really well. Now it's been about a week since I've started these, but I thought I would show you guys how everything is doing. So far, my tomatoes are coming up very nicely, and I'm super proud about these Amish pastes because these are ones that I seed saved from. Over here we have my flowers. These are mainly just cutting flowers that I've got over here, but I've got some white yarrow that's coming up that's medicinal, and then all these other ones are cutting flowers. Down here I've got some spearmint that's coming up, and then some sage that is coming. And then here's some more of my medicinal flowers that are doing awesome. Over here, I've got my onions that are coming. And I think this back here is supposed to be celery, but that'll take a while to come up. My thyme is doing really well. And then here are some more of my tomatoes. Now these guys over here are peppers, and I'm not expecting them to come up for at least another week or so. Everything seems to be doing really well, and they seem to be doing excellent with this capillary matting watering system. I'm noticing that I'm only having to water them about once every 2 days, which is really nice. But everything is looking really good. So what you saw inside will make up a majority of what I am planting from seed that will be a transplant. Those are all of our warmer weather stuff. As far as out in the garden right now, I have most of our cold weather stuff. I was able to get all of our potatoes planted, which is around 70 plants. And then I have half of our onion bulbs out there. And then what still needs to come out is carrots and lettuces. The carrots are gonna go in a raised bed, and then the lettuces I'm going to try in an in-ground bed this year. But once that is all done, then I will have all of my cold weather stuff out. And then come the middle of May, we should be ready to get everything else out into the garden that I wasn't able to start inside because they don't do well transplanting. So that's things like cucumbers, squashes, corn, things like that. But come the middle of May, we should have everything getting started and put into the ground, and we will be ready to go. I hope you guys have seen how we are getting everything started this year for our garden, and God willing, everything will take off well and we will have a great harvest this year. But I will see you guys next time. Bye!